What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, continuing my deep dive into this box set of Bob Dylan and the band, the 1974 live recordings. I think everything they had available from the 1974 tour, their first tour in close to a decade, Dylan back with the band. And this is my favorite part of every video. Get a reach in to this massive stack of shows and CDs and pull out the ones I'm doing today and actually this way and make a dent in this sucker. And today we're pulling out 9 and 10 right here. 2 shows from Maryland here in the United States. Largo, Maryland, Capitol Center, just outside of DC, or is it? Yeah, it's not DC proper. January 15th and January 16th in 1974. Yeah, that shine is on the photograph, not in my taking of the photograph. They're both excellent shows. I enjoyed both of these shows. The set lists have started to really sort of calcify at this point. I think we only have 1 new song total, and it occurs in the second show. Nothing else new has been introduced in these shows. I think it is one of the shows is the last. I don't believe you. She acts like we have never met, which makes me, we never have met, which kind of makes me sad. One of them does not have Nobody Except You. And then the other one has the last Nobody Except You, is my understanding. So things are continuing to change, but there's not that much new as far as songs that are played. Of the 2 shows, one of them, I think, from start to finish is probably a more consistent show. And if I were to recommend a show to somebody, it would be that one. But that's not the one that's my favorite. The other one's much more of a roller coaster, has highs, has lows. But I think the highs in that roller coaster show make that, for me, at this point, 9 and 10 shows into this box set where I'm hearing the same songs over and over again. I think that more roller coaster one is the one I'm more excited to go back to when I'm done with this project. So, which of these is show number 1 and which of these is show number 2? I'm then going to rank these among the other 8 I've already done. So I have, as my second favorite of the 2 Maryland shows, it is the show, this is the first of the 2 shows. This is the January 15th, 1974 show, disc number 9. I have this idea that before each of these shows, Dylan gives a word. Maybe there's a chalkboard and he writes a word on the chalkboard and everybody's just supposed to have this somewhere in the back of their mind as they're playing. The word for the first show is determination, or maybe it's focus, one of those 2 words. But everything, especially when the band is playing, they seem to be really hitting those changes or hitting those downbeats, or really just not really as much adding a lot of extra as much as making sure every downbeat or every direction change, as slight as they are, is hit with an extra little oomph, little extra hard hit of the snare, extra maybe bass thump. Just everything seems to have a little more of a punch to it. The bass, incredible in the mix. Just really loud and very present. But this really seems to be like the band is playing with a little bit more determination, or maybe a little bit more focus, and they're really making sure they're locking in on the songs as they are written and meant to be performed. Pretty standard set list. Most Likely You Go Your Way opens and closes, as is happening, at least in this part of the tour. Great piano presence in this. Great opening song, as always. Lay Lady Lay, the rock energy that Robertson is bringing, almost makes this a different song. This is a very rock arena performance of Lay Lady Lay, whether you like that or not. To me, it just seems a very big, in-focused rock version of this. Just like Tom Thumb's Blues, the third song, almost seems like Bob's dragging out the words a little more than necessary, even in the middle of verses. It's very a vocally dramatic version of Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues, though the band and Robbie are just making sure they're hitting all those changes. One of my favorite songs on this tour, I would say this is an average version of this, which is still like you want to hear this, but I don't think it's really bringing much anything really special that the other versions aren't bringing. I Don't Believe You almost feels like it's the last, like it's a swan song, almost has this almost resigned quality to it. Like these really are Bob's last time singing these words, you know, at least they would be on this tour, but there is something about it. Maybe I just know that. So I'm like just inferring that from the performance, but it feels like, yeah, we're done with this song. We're moving on from it. Or maybe Bob just was tired of singing it at this point. That's why they don't play it again. It Ain't Me, Babe. Band again, leaning into those like those downbeats. Ballad of a Thin Man. Really nice intro with the piano, the organ coming in, the guitar, each adding those flavors. Really nice there. All Along the Watchtower, Robertson and the organ just hitting it really, really well. Really determined. Solid, solid, solid performances. Like there's nothing bad about any of these. They're just very well performed songs, and it doesn't seem like there's extra spices that aren't there in other shows, if that makes sense. Ballad of Hollis Brown might be the one thing that kind of really got me. Hold on really quickly. The Ballad of Hollis Brown almost seems like a completely different vibe musically than other performances. It's nowhere near as nasty. It almost has this weird, dare I say, joyful bounce to it. And for the Ballad of Hollis Brown to have a joyful bounce, it's kind of weird. It almost seems like the music, the band's bringing it, they're bringing the focus, but they're also bringing a bounce. Almost seems like the music is disconnected from the lyrics, but not in a surrealistic way, just in an odd way. It just, I think of the Ballad of Hollis Brown so far, this is probably my least favorite because of this weird disconnect between the music and what the lyrics actually are. Still interesting. Robbie's still dropping the licks like crazy, but this is a weird Hollis Brown, if you ask me. And then Knocking on Heaven's Door just sounds good. We get to the acoustic part after this. The Times They Are Changing, really high energy. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Really focused, really determined. That's the theme of these shows. Wedding Song, maybe the highlight of the show. Excellent performance. This one almost seems a little more patient. Like Bob's like, hey, now we're going to slow things down a little bit, take a little more time to develop this song. I think of the songs that really stand out for this show, Wedding Song is one of them. The other one I would say, which comes a little later in the set, is Forever Young. Just a really, Bob's really giving it all, his all. Robbie's licks are tasty. There's something about this Forever Young that I really, really like. But continuing the acoustic set, we get a Just Like a Woman, which also feels a little more patient than maybe some of the other stuff. And then just the confident swagger of It's All Right, Mom, Only Bleeding. And then you get the standard 4 songs to close. A fantastic Forever Young. A really nice Something There Is About You. Something There Is About You. That's always a weird title to say. Robbie's intro, determined, focused, forceful, determined performance. Excellent performance of this. Rolling Stone, fantastic. The piano energy is amazing. Organ swells are fantastic. Eyebrows all over this. And then when they go back into Most Likely for the final encore, it feels like we're back. Let's finish this strong. A little bit of swagger there. Really good show. Like no complaints about the show. It's just a solid, consistent, we're doing this well. It's a good rock and roll Bob Dylan and the Band show. That's my second favorite of these two. My first favorite is the second show. The 10th, January 10th, 1974, or January 16th, 1974. This one feels one of two words, either eclectic, meaning make every performance different, possibly, because I think there is different vibes throughout for almost every song, except maybe towards the end we kind of get focus. Or the other word I thought maybe is unravel, where as each song goes on, they kind of start to unravel, and especially in the verses, what the band is doing musically in the verses as the song goes on just seems to get weirder and stranger and maybe more surrealistic and psych. Maybe, again, a lot of these times I'm looking for like, okay, why is this show different than the 8 I've already listened to, which have identical set lists? So once I get an idea in my head, maybe I'm looking for those things more. But as I was looking for that, I just kept finding it. So, you know, I don't know if it was confirmation bias or the show, you know, whatever. I really, really like this sort of eclectic randomness of this show. Fantastic opener again with Most Likely You'll Go Your Way. Almost seems clean, almost seems smooth, almost seems a little more professional. This would lean more to the eclectic thing where this one's going to sound professional, the rest are not. Lay Lady Lay kind of doesn't work for me. There's something off about this performance. Dylan's bellowing out the lyrics. We're starting to get into that, like, the caricature of Bob Dylan that you would see in, like, social comedy and stuff from, like, late 70s on for the rest of history. That's what we're starting to get here, I think, with some of his vocal performance. And musically, the band just seems kind of really jagged and just, it's not a smooth performance like the opener. It doesn't quite work for me. And I thought at this point I was going to be like, okay, this show isn't going to work. But then just like Tom Thumb's Blues drops, and it's really laid back in the beginning. Band is kind of letting Bob take the reins for these big, big vocal moments. But then as we go on, every single verse musically seems to get funkier, and the band's a little more playful. It's like Robbie's dropping an absolutely incredible solo, but it's almost like they're approaching each verse with a different vibe. We're going to come at it with the piano lead, and this time the bass is going to lead. This time Robbie's going to lead. This time it's a little more staccato. This time it's smoother. It just seems like the natural surrealism of the lyrics and the storytelling of Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues seems like the band is really letting like the lyrics sort of direct the eclecticness of the music as it goes on. One of my favorite Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues. Absolutely love this performance. Then we get what I believe is the only One Too Many Mornings. I don't think they played it again. Hopefully I'm wrong, because this is kind of sounds tired, kind of matches the lyrics. Really nice sort of solo into this long span of Robbie playing. It almost feels like the longest span of music I've yet to hear that didn't have actual vocals in it. It doesn't seem as rushed as almost every other Electric song. Even things like It Ain't Me, Babe and Knock on Heaven's Door seem to have this energy to them that this one doesn't have. It seems to be like one of the more conventional rock songs I've heard so far. And it just kind of doesn't work. I don't know why. I like hearing it. I'm glad they played it at least once. I would like maybe if it got more chances so it could get better, but my understanding is they don't play it again. So, yeah, interesting. But it makes this show interesting. It Ain't Me, Babe almost has a jaunty vibe to it. Ballad of a Thin Man, jaunty vibe, has a fun bounce to it. Almost, dare I say, has a carnival vibe, like a circus, but late at night, and a circus only for adults, but not necessarily for like blue reasons, but just because it's, you don't want to bring kids to this experience because it's just a little bit weird. Fantastic Ballad of a Thin Man. Another one of those, probably not the best I've heard, but another one of those, like, why this is one of the highlights of any show is just because they're really bringing a different energy to this. All Along the Watchtower, bouncy, feels longer, intro feels longer, ending solo feels longer. Maybe I'm just enjoying myself a lot. A lot of really good bounce to this. Ballad of a Thin Man. Oh no, Ballad of Hollis Brown is next. A lot of ballads in here. A lot of Just Like A's in here. Has that bounce that the previous show has, but it's a little bit leaner. Maybe there's a slight menace in there. Definitely nowhere as menacing as previous versions, but it just seems a little bit more weirder. There's bounce, but it's not joyful bounce. It's just kind of weird, eclectic bounce. Kind of gets better as the song goes on, as the weirdness lends itself well to the darkness of the storytelling. I think comparing the disc 9 with disc 10, that bounce just stays in 9. In 10, that bounce just gets infused with something a little bit darker, but definitely not as menacing or as threatening or as, dare I say, vicious as some of the other performances on the tour of this song. And then the knocking on Heaven's door, Bob's over singing, but it kind of works, especially with just the random eclecticness of this show. For the acoustic parts, we get The Times They Are Changing. We get a Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. I think Bob is getting more dramatic almost with both of these as the song progresses, going maybe leading to the unraveling thing or letting the song kind of unravel as it goes. Gates of Eden almost seems very herky-jerky, and Bob seems to be leaning into every word, like the gates of Eden, like almost like he's playing along with his guitar with every note, like doing that sort of whatever they do when the bluesmen play, you know, as they sing. You know, there's a word for that. But it has that really weird kind of herky-jerky staccato vibe, but it works because Gates of Eden is a powerful song, and Bob's really making sure every lyric is emphasized, especially as the verses go on. Completely different from the opening, Most Likely You Go Your Way, which was a completely smooth, just polished performance. Now we're getting like the opposite of that. Nobody Except You, I think it's the last one. It sounds beautiful. It sounds proud. It is gorgeous. I'm going to be sad if this song disappears, but I think it does. Absolutely fantastic. Highlight of this disc. Then we get a false start with It's All Right, Ma. Bob starts again. Awesome as always. Fantastic. And then to close out, another fantastic Forever Young. Bob is singing like crazy. He is going big. The encores, they're going big. They're going rock star huge. Bob's playing rock and roll star here. Forever Young, Something There Is About You, big energy. I think the previous Something There from the number 9 disc, maybe a little more focused and streamlined and packs maybe a better punch, but this one is bigger. Lots of big energy with Like a Rolling Stone. Organ sounds fantastic. And then we close out with Most Likely You Go Your Way, I'll Go Mine. Big sounding. Yeah, probably not as a consistent a show, this second one, mainly because of the first run of electric songs, which I think are a little more up and down. But we do get a One Too Many Mornings. We get a fantastic opener, fantastic Tom Thumbs, fantastic Hollis Brown, though it sounds nothing like other Hollis Browns. Fantastic Thin Man, great Gates of Eden, and a beautiful Nobody Except You. I really like both these shows, but when I go back and re-listen, when I'm done with all of these, I'm going to listen to the second one first, and see if my first two experiences with it are what I just conveyed to you, are as strong as I think. Where would I rank them? I have them at number 6 and 7. That Boston afternoon, I think that Boston one, the number 8. I think just overall the energy of that was better. Those first two Chicago shows, I still think the rawness of those will forever put those in my top. I mean, I'm not sure anything's going to knock out the rawness, the song selection, the freshness of it, the band literally not quite having their feet under them yet, but still giving it their all. And then the Philly and Toronto shows are just the early rawness with perfect song selections, performances, everything. We're a third of the way, just over a third of the way through this 27 disc box set. We got those many left. Yeah, but interesting shows. I was very happy to still be this engaged this far into the set. So we'll see how that goes as we move south in the southern United States for these performances. Be interesting to see energy, crowd responses, how things are going with that in 74. But yeah, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts on these shows, Bob Dylan, the band, if you've heard them, all that stuff. You know how comments work. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to Bob Dylan and the band, people. This is good stuff. If you've only heard Before the Flood, check out the sampler. It's only streaming. You can't even buy the sampler, it's my understanding. So don't feel guilty about streaming it. This is some good stuff. Peace. Talk to you later.